On this episode of the Everything is a Primary Source podcast, we take a look at the evolution of dinosaurs as they appear in pop culture media. Everything is a Primary Source is now on Teachers Pay Teachers with ready-to-use lesson plans, activities, and assessments incorporating, you guessed it, primary sources of everyday life from the last 200 years. With several free resources and everything else $5 or less, you'll be able to enhance your social studies curriculum with deep-cut documents of the past quickly and affordably. Look up Everything is a Primary Source on Teachers Pay Teachers to browse the collection. Welcome to the Everything is a Primary Source podcast, the show where we navigate history through popular culture. I'm your host, Eric Salmonson. I'm a social studies teacher, historian, and pop culture enthusiast. Each episode, I sit down with everyday people to discuss the media, objects, places, and events that shape us and reveal what they say about the past, as well as who we are now. The Everything is a Primary Source podcast is, therefore, your history, my history, our history through popular culture. This has been a while since we've done this together.
Yes.
You excited?
Yeah.
Good, because I always have a good time talking to you about things you're interested in, things that you're an expert on.
I'm always happy to be on this podcast.
Well, you've helped make it, honestly, so you deserve to be on here.
Thank you.
As much as possible, and I think everybody in podcast land is happy to hear your voice again, and we're going to talk about something today very similar to a conversation we had a few years ago.
Yes.
Which was a Jurassic Park cup, so you get to flex your dinosaur knowledge muscles today. What do we have? What are we looking at?
We have a book from 1964 to 1965. It was an exhibit at the 1965 World Fair.
The Exciting World of Dinosaurs, and it was something that presented by Sinclair. Sinclair is
a gas station.
Yeah.
A gas company.
And on the back we have a nice photo of a guy tipping his hat, and he must have been one of the gas station
workers.
Yeah, so not the first time this season even that we've talked about World's Fairs in some way. This booklet and the Dinoland, which does look pretty cool.
Yeah.
That they are talking about. It's kind of like Jurassic Park before Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the dinosaurs were meant to be alive or even moved necessarily.
No, it was just supposed to show like how big they were. Like if you read this, it's probably gonna say something like either facts or something about the exhibit.
Well, let's read it right now. It says, a realistic and authentic recreation of life-size dinosaurs in the prehistoric world in which they lived. Dramatic life-size replicas of 9 different types of dinosaurs are shown in their natural prehistoric environment in Queens. This fascinating and educational Sinclair Oil Corporation exhibit at the New York World's Fair. A reenactment of life on Earth goes on and on and on. And they have everything from a 6-foot-long ornitholastes. Does that sound right?
No.
Okay. Well, how do you say it? Raptor?
No. It's... You got the first part right. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but I don't think it's...
But we got this one, the giant 70-foot Brontosaurus.
Yes.
But I don't think I've heard you mention Brontosaurus very much when you talk about...
Yeah, because there's like... the bra at the beginning of a theropod's name is very common. It's like Brachiosaurus, Brontosaurus. Like, I can go on and on. And there's only, I think, one carnivore in this entire book, which is the T-Rex. And I think they just wanted to highlight on the herbivores.
Yeah. So this booklet, I would imagine, was handed to you when you walked into Dinoland, so you could get a feel for what
or
they
maybe like before Dinoland, so you know what to expect.
Yeah, maybe when you got into the World's Fair itself.
Yeah.
And it's a way for you to, as you go from each dinosaur, to see what they're about, just like you would in a museum. And by this time, so I guess what we're getting at with this is, and you mentioned it before we started talking today, that learning about dinosaurs,
Yeah.
it has its own history to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And
in 1805, they discovered what appeared to be a struthio mammoth fossil, but they thought it was some sort of dragon, and so people didn't really think the same. In 1942, they discovered a Spinosaurus skeleton in Egypt that was transported to, I think, somewhere in Germany, but it got bombed. So the skeleton disappeared, and in 1955, I believe, they found a Tyrannosaurus Rex named Sue, and that is in the Chicago Field Museum right now.
Right now, yes. Yeah. That one travels around.
Yeah.
Not on its own, but it, with a truck and stuff. And
exhibit.
They moved the exhibit because we saw it. We were going to see it in New York, but it cost extra money at the.
Yeah.
And then this most recent trip to Chicago, we saw it. I think most of the time we usually associate dinosaur fossils being found in places like the Badlands, right?
Yeah.
Or in the Dakotas, or on the other
but
in
they
desert
can be
areas.
Found anywhere, pretty much. Like not anywhere, but like it has to have a good amount of rock. Either has to have water or it used to have water of some sort of mud, so it can preserve the fossils, right? Like most fossils actually probably broke over time. Only the ones we're finding are the ones that were either in mud.
So, I guess, and I feel like we used Atlas Obscura one time and saw there's a little tiny site in New Jersey somewhere. Is that the 1805 one, or is there a different one?
No, that one. I think I forget what time year, but
it was early.
Yeah, it was early.
It was late 19th century, I think. Before they knew it wasn't a dragon, but they also didn't know exactly what to do with it and how to interpret it and what it means. But what we're looking at here and what you just demonstrated, I mean, you are living in 2026, so this is about just over 60 years since this Sinclair Dinoland brochure, and you just explained, because you like dinosaurs, but you also have access to so many different learning tools, resources about dinosaurs. You just rattled off a whole bunch of stuff that I don't know if a kid in 1964 would have been able to, because what they had access to, their knowledge. So I guess what I find most interesting about dinosaurs is they're prehistoric, meaning that if you go all the way back to human history, the very beginning of human history, they, of course, didn't have any idea what was right below them, right? So you think about all the ancients and they going about their life having no idea that these fascinating, gigantic creatures,
lizards,
their bones were below the earth, not far from where they're walking. And it's a kind of a wild idea. My question that we're going to work with here is what material is this made from? Tell me, sort of like, this is a pop version of dinosaurs. And dinosaurs, you always ask, we go back and forth of like, what's your favorite dinosaur? And ever since I was a kid, it was Stegosaurus.
Yeah.
And I feel like this book especially, and I was born 17 years after this World's Fair, and I remember looking at books that kind of looked like this, and I had toys that looked like this, and they were almost like a cast of characters. Like I've become familiar with all these dinosaur characters. You have your own cast of characters. Where have you gotten most of your dinosaur characters from?
Mostly from the movies. Not like any of the hybrids from Jurassic World or anything, but I mean, like, I watch documentaries, I read books, I don't just want to learn about like the Stegosaurus, Triceratops, all the ones that you learn in like picture books. I want to say, I like learning about like the struthio mammoth or What's another one? Dilopicus, or the other sorts of dinosaurs that you might not see in books.
And you started with movies, right? So
Yeah.
Jurassic Park, Jurassic World,
Yes.
those were what captivated your attention. And I started that way. So I started with books,
Yeah.
museums, and then Jurassic Park came out when I was about 12, and I was like, what? This is going to be crazy. And so I remember a time before all of that when the basis for most of our dinosaur knowledge was, and in the movies it was like King Kong had dinosaurs in it.
Yeah.
And that's actually pretty good,
Yeah.
considering when that was made. Depiction of it, pretty accurate, realistic, fighting a giant gorilla, and then, or ape, and then there was The Land Before Time. That was a
Yes.
cartoon, and that one has absolutely no realism to it at all, right?
Not really. I mean, yes, herbivores did sometimes befriend each other. They didn't really hang out, but they would socialize with each other. But that one doesn't have much. And of course, herbivores won't try and fight a giant T-Rex. For example, like they won't just charge up to a T-Rex.
I'm not even sure if that was a T-Rex. It has like horns on it and stuff. And
Well, I forget which movie it was. I know one of them had a T-Rex.
And there's literally 15 of those movies. Like,
Yeah.
There's so many of them. And not all of them have Reba in it, but some do. One does, at least. Reba McEntire is in number 15, I think. This is my show. I can do it the way I want.
Let's just continue.
This is the way it works.
Let's just not get hung up on one thing.
This is the way I do it.
Okay.
So when we have the pop culture explanation of dinosaurs and the presentation of it, whether it be at a museum, at Sinclair Dinoland, posters, movies, what's going on behind the scenes that improves the accuracy and the reliability of the way the dinosaurs are presented?
I guess scientists discovering fossils, getting new data, seeing even just volcanic rock could help you, like knowing like where certain dinosaur would live, like finding a fossil near some volcanic rock or finding a fossil right next to a coastline. Like it helps you know where the dinosaur lived and collect their data and see if they hunted in packs or alone, or just can't really simplify it. Like fossils is the main part, getting data, bones, sizes, I guess. Like you can't just find a Triceratops head and say like, oh, that weighed this and it was the length of this. You have to get the full skeleton.
How would you say the scientists of 60 years ago must have been doing if this is the way that they presented it at Dinoland at the World's Fair?
Well, like I said, the very first dinosaur fossil, well, what they thought was a dinosaur fossil was discovered in 1805. And that's over, like, 65 was 100 years, like a couple hundred years after that.
150.
Yeah, 150. So that's like 150 years of data, fossils that they found out. And they're doing pretty good. I know these aren't the most accurate drawings, but they're pretty, like you'd see them in like a kid's book.
Mm-hmm.
Like a T-Rex going after a Triceratops.
One of the flaws that they have is the tails are dragging around,
Yes.
right?
Dinosaurs didn't really have that giant tail just dragging around.
How do you think somebody gets involved or interested in being a paleontologist, one who studies dinosaurs? Where do you think that comes from?
Probably, finding a fossil maybe? Like thinking, what are these creatures? I want to know more. It's like a cause and effect. You find a fossil, or you read about it, or you find you know someone that's found it, and then the fact is you want to know. You don't want your mind to be blank. You want to know what these creatures are.
Do you think that it's possible that, considering this was a World's Fair, went on for 2 years, 64 to 65, that maybe some kids, young people that visited Dinoland, some of them may have just enjoyed it for what it was, but do you think it may have inspired somebody to pursue that as a career?
I think it's 100% possible. I'm sure that happened to a lot of the kids, or maybe even adults. Maybe they wanted to know more. Maybe they didn't just want to continue with their jobs. Maybe they actually wanted to know more of these creatures.
So we add more people to the ranks of paleontology every time dinosaurs are presented to the public.
Yes.
In a popular way.
Yes.
Because have you ever seen like a scientific journal? Those are very hard to read.
Yeah.
They're not easy language because it's scientists speaking to each other through journal version, and it's not. They're going to be including measurements that we wouldn't understand as ordinary people, and it's speaking to each other. So when it rises to the public level, that's when you get people interested, and then that could inspire somebody to say, okay, the book is not written on dinosaurs. I mean, 1805 to present, that's only...
Well, that's what some people think.
Okay.
For all we know, they could have discovered them in like the 1600s or even earlier. That's just like the last known record.
Well, that adds another layer to this conversation, because what we're getting at is that there's something called historiography involved in this. And the way that... So the dinosaurs have always been there. They died, what, millions of years ago? Billions?
66 million years ago.
So they've been there for the entirety of human history underneath the earth. And the way that we understand them when they've come into... has everything to do with our world around us, right? So somebody, if they were to find it in, say, the 1600s, they definitely would have been like, this is something supernatural.
Yeah.
But you introduce them into the 20th century, and that's why we have a oil company who understands that their product is fossil fuel. Yeah. And they're using it as a logo, and it's become kind of fun and cartoony.
Yeah, cartoony, fun, interesting.
Do you remember that show, Dinosaurs, that I showed you from the early 90s? It was like The Simpsons, but just with dinosaur puppets.
Oh, I think I know what you mean, yes.
Do you remember what the baby's name is in that?
I can't remember.
It's Baby Sinclair. Because of, and they came out after Jurassic Park, or around that time. It was basically like the Flintstones. They weren't accurate at all. I mean, they had talking dinosaurs who worked at construction sites and stuff. It was cartoony and silly. They mashed up dinosaurs that wouldn't have been alive during the same time as each other. But it was kind of like, okay, we have so much of the actual scientific approach to dinosaurs, we can have some fun with them. Kind of like what the Flintstones did back in the 60s around this time. And I wonder if that was any kind of inspiration for the way they're presenting it here, of like, okay, you like the Flintstones, here's the real explanation of it. Before we close out, what's your all-time favorite? What do you think is the most accurate depiction of, like, which kind of version of dinosaurs do you think a scientist, a paleontologist would point to and say, yes, that is what I think is real, or was real?
Maybe Ankylosaurus. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm not quite sure. The Ankylosaurus is really hard to miscalculate. Yes, it has a giant armored back. Yes, it has a tail. It's easy to mess up a Cortiosaurus with entodermis. They're both iguana. They're in the same family as iguanodons. Like, you can mix those up very easily. Same with the sauropods. Like, you can mix up Brachiosaurus with, like, Patasaurus. But the Ankylosaurus is very hard to mix up with, like, let's say the Stegosaurus. Both have very different bodies.
Would a scientist, somebody who studies these dinosaurs and knows what's accurate and what's not, would they appreciate any of the Jurassic World or Jurassic Park movies and say, yes, that's what I'm thinking?
Probably not, because when you're in the movie district, you want to make these dinosaurs look cool or fearsome, like draw attention. So they probably don't. Maybe Jurassic Park, but I probably not the Jurassic World movies because they know that's not true.
I know that Jurassic Park was the first one was the first time that they ever publicly, like very broadly, put forward the whole idea that their closest relatives are birds.
Yeah.
And I've seen documentaries being made that depict using same kind of technology that Jurassic Park did for entertainment, they use for documentary purposes, and they show the dinosaurs with feathers. Yeah. They go so far as putting feathers on them.
Hey, they're actually not scaly. The Tyrannosaurus Rex actually had feathers. Like, it had some feathers, but mostly scaly, but it had some feathers. It's hard to explain.
No, I mean, the fact that you can explain it and that you understand it that way makes your knowledge a primary source of now. It makes Jurassic Park, and especially the book that it's based on, a primary source of the late 80s. This Sinclair Dinoland at the World's Fair is a document of mid-60s understanding of it.
Yes.
At least what the public could digest as time has gone on. So I've learned a lot just now. Thank you so much for your check-in, for your knowledge about dinosaurs. If you could, would you want to go to a place like Dinoland?
I mean, yeah.
We kind of did in the Lowe's parking lot a few months ago, remember?
I know. The Lowe's parking lot was a fun exhibit, and this looks fun too. It has moving water, it has statues of dinosaurs. Looks fun.
Or actually, it kind of looks like the golf course we like to go to.
Yeah.
Raptor Falls.
Yeah, Raptor Falls.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again, buddy. And remember, everybody, this is the EPS podcast where everything, including all depictions of dinosaurs in media, are primary sources. Popular culture, by definition, connects and unites us, and proves that people of different backgrounds, in fact, have a lot in common with one another. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, at least in part, for that reason. If it connects with you and you'd like to add to it, or any of the podcast episodes, just visit everything-history.com and search for the Everything is a Primary Source project, which can be found in the classroom section of the website. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Be sure to rate and share this podcast wherever you're listening to it now, and follow Everything as a Primary Source on social media, including YouTube and especially Instagram. Thank you for listening to the EPS podcast, where everything is a primary source.